everyone. How are you guys doing? Long day? This is a post-lunch session, so I'm expecting this kind of a response. Can you surprise me? Is it a long day? I still can't hear you. No? Okay, good. So we're talking about HR. We're talking about technology. How many of you are from HR? Raise your hands. How many of you are from technology? How many of you are somewhere in between, as the gentleman is saying? How many of you are from business? Okay, good. So we have a fair set of people. We have some great set of folks here, excluding me, and we will learn from our panelists and sort of delve on the topic of HR, technology, how we can adopt and embrace new tech in our HR world. What we'll do is we'll also, through the conversation, engage you so that you don't go off to sleep. So allow you to comment, ask questions, keep us awake so that we have an engaging conversation. Is that a deal? Good. So given the fact that we haven't sort of introduced ourselves, maybe take 1 minute just to introduce ourselves. So my name is Pradeep Banerjee. I am the Chief People Officer for Emids. We are in technology, we are in healthcare, and hopefully we are in tech as well. So that's me.
My name is Captain Pranav. Almost 20 years, not that great, those many gray hairs. So currently the CPO for TruKKer. It is an Uber for logistics, majorly in the MENA region.
Hi, my name is. Okay, that's very loud. Hi, my name is Ajay. Ajay Aurora. I head HR for Ocwen Financial Solutions in India and Philippines. I also carry global responsibility for a lot of HR COEs in the company. Been with the company for about 10 years, overall 21 years, but still not a lot of gray hair.
So my name is Anvith Murthy. I come with around 15 years of work experience, probably youngest among the group. So I head HR, admin, IT and procurement at Rapido. Rapido is very similar to Ola and Uber, bike taxi aggregator and also at auto aggregation, a very new age company.
Good, thank you. I actually started the joke of gray hair and looks like it's coming back to me. Yeah, it's coming back to me. Maybe I said it at the wrong moment. But anyway.
We are just using it to connect with them, not to get at you.
I don't see enough gray hair. I see no hair, but not enough gray hair. But anyway, let's not talk about hair. So I guess technology has sort of, come into our lives, both socially and professionally. And as HR folks, business folks, technology folks, we're seeing more and more technology getting embraced in our professional life. What you're going to do is not talk about general gyan around technology and what technology can do, but try and leverage the moment, leverage the opportunity that some of these folks have in actually adopting technology in their professional sphere, and learn a little bit from that. So maybe, and by the way, I'm using the phone. I'm not a digital native. I'm an old man, but I've tried to take my notes on the phone just to look cool. So I'm going to read the questions, and then hopefully somebody will find the right answer for you guys. Okay, and my job is easy. So maybe start with you, Captain. Talk a little bit about any interesting area that you believe in your journey as an HR leader that you have used technology and found it really, really worthwhile, found it really, really powerful to run the organization.
Fine. So I can say today I bring the mix of 3 different industries. So majorly I worked in automotive, then very short stint in FMCG, Coca-Cola, and then I moved to TruKKer. So on the first one, when I say automotive, we used to make cars, and you know that those things, a lot of engineering is required, and everyone wants to put a lot of engineering in HR also. Talent acquisition was something that it was full of it, right? You know, everyone wants to see the so-called ROI, and everything should be visible, and the clicks and the conversions are very easy to see. The same goes for LMS. But one area, there was a time when I was heading the talent and training for the organization, and I was seeing the succession planning happening on the hearsay. Rather, you have the so-called psychometries, and you have conferees and Hayes and different, you know, psychometry so-called domain specialists, you know, who don those areas, and they say that this is the talent based on whatever psychometry and on the so-called binds of their managers, but I could not see any number, you know, at the end of the day. So I thought that can we deploy the number inside, and then I with my own homegrown IT team, we were thinking about, can we quantize every people in this organization the way we used to have a scorecard or a report card in school or college. So we made an algorithm. You have your profile, translates it in a number based on you have done a degree, master's, PhD, blah, 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 whatever the thing comes, tier 1, tier 2, all those things. So that the entire profile gets translated in terms of a number. Then being in the system, you're rating throughout, right? And the missions or the projects you have worked on translates in a number. Then so-called awards and whatever you have done for the company. So everything is equal to number, combines everything. If today, if I say I have to see someone who is, and plus the person who is interested in that particular role, let's say for which we are seeing a succession. So once everything is done and this thing is completely consolidated for the entire organization, you say that, for example, you are searching for a VP for IT, and the tool tells you that who are the probable 3, 4, not hundreds, and you are very sure with the numbers whom you are interested in and how to go forward for it. Now, it made a sort of not a human approach, very number-centric approach, because these affiliations in a corner had a very difficult time to sell it to the business leaders. But yes, I can say that this was something which was not in vogue or not present, and I was able to do.
Interesting, very, very interesting. I think all of us who do talent reviews and succession planning always say that it's a combination of science and art, and depending on the organization that you're in, you sort of lean towards either a little bit of science more, less of art, or a little bit of art more, less of science. Looks like Captain had got a little closer to science and kept the objectivity alive. I think that's very important. A lot of times in our talent reviews and calibrations, people make generic statement. That guy was great. He did amazing stuff, right? And there is no way to quantify some of that. Thank you.
He's an MD material.
He's an MD material. There you go. There you go. There you go. I hope the MD was not in the room when you said that. Ajay?
Yeah. So I come from a company which is more older, mature, traditional. In this kind of company, you always go through a transition where how you interact with your customer also keeps changing, and in the same fashion internally, you keep changing how you do how you deliver corporate functions. So talking specifically about Ocwen, we have seen a journey where we have had good HR practices. We created a lot of policies, procedure, talent reviews, succession planning, etc. But it was more not on the system, more traditional way of doing it in a Excel sheet or or using a PPT through meetings. So how do you convert that into digital? How you use more digital to deliver HR, etc. That's the kind of journey which I have seen. What has been our first objective? Our objective was always what is the end result we want to achieve, right? And in that, it's everybody has a good human capital management system and ERP that's been there since 20-25 years. So our first objective was that we would use that better. So we have a Fusion HCM, you buy these kind of ERP systems, you don't use them, you don't use all the modules usually. We said we are not only going to use the modules, all of the modules, but we are going to slowly retire the other systems we use, like a recruiting system, Taleo, like any other system you are using. So we started using these modules, made this one much more stronger, created a good backbone, and now we look for the modern day systems so that those can be used to bring in robotic process automation, AI, to deliver HR or to interact with our employees or to engage with them more. So, there can be many examples. Examples like reporting and analytics tools. We used MicroStrategy. We did away with that. We use an internal Oracle HCM system now, and it is helping us much more. Because of using that, we have a better organization design tool, which anybody can access from anywhere. We did away with the recruiting system Taleo, and we are using the Oracle recruiting tool now. Again, better integration because you don't need 2-3 steps to enter data, create new employee profiles, things like that. So that has been our journey.
Fantastic, fantastic. By the way, we are naming companies here. We have named Oracle, we have named Taleo, we have named Codferry, we have named Hayes. They're all great people. I hope none of you are here.
Yeah.
I hope none of you are here.
And I think we're using the names because you said, there should be practical examples.
Absolutely.
Nothing against those
even if you're here, we don't mind. I just want to know that you're here. Yeah. And everybody has a space to play. So no offense.
Yeah, yes, Pradipta. So for us, actually, if you're in talent acquisition, you understand the pain, right? You open a position for product engineer and you will get resumes of marketing, operations. Everybody applies to those job postings. So for us, actually, for one job posting, we were receiving probably around 500 applications. There was no way that a recruiter could, sort things and probably even send communication to those candidates, informing that what is the status of that particular application. So, we had an application called, applicant tracking system called Skillet. So what we did was we started refining our JD. We started putting what are the essential skills required, what are the good to have skills, what are the must have skills, and what kind of experience. So they have a proper way in which you can categorize things, and it would rank these 500 applications based on the logic, based on the AI logic as such, compares and actually kinds of ranks them. So we are able to eliminate, we would select 10% of the population, rest 90% we would communicate, send out an email telling that you guys are not selected as such. So, and we could see that, especially the initial few months, it was not a foolproof system, but the system would learn as such, right? If we are rejecting, it would go back and learn and come back with better profiles. The ranking system would change. So that really helped us to fine tune our talent acquisition process. Initially, we started having a cutoff for 10%. Slowly, we increased to 25% to get better quality of candidates. Eventually, now we have again come back to around 10% as well. Apart from that, also, when we look at the other pain for the candidates is they do not get to know the status of the interview. They go through the interview, they call the recruiter, recruiters don't respond at all the time as well, right? So they'll be busy with certain things as such. So the chatbot that is there, it would, if you key in your request number, the candidate ID or the application number, it would tell the status along with the feedback, whatever has been given. So that is something that we were able to implement, though we have received some backlash on that as well, because people would challenge the feedback as well. Again, like why actually this feedback, I did my interview so well and so on and so forth. So we have kind of withdrawn that part. It's still actually, yeah. So that's where we are.
Good. From my personal experience, I've also seen learning change significantly with the advent of technology. Any learning professionals here? Okay, so learning changing. Today organizations are using bite-sized learning, highly personalized. Learning is based on what you're doing. So your learning systems actually learn what work you're doing and try and push learning in the flow of work. So that's another area that we are seeing a lot of technology being used and sort of making the learner, keeping the learner central in the whole learning journey. So that's another one.
Yeah, very true. If you put in your aspiration, it shows you the learning path, like
Right.
what all courses you should.
And earlier learning used to be a course or a curriculum, course based. Today it's a curriculum based. It's a learning journey rather than an individual course per se. So learnings are a lot more tailor made because the systems are being able to sort of pick that up. Let's open it up for questions, comments. Anybody else would like to share any forward thinking, path breaking technology use that you guys have done? Okay, even if it didn't break a path, but anything that is interesting? Are you with us? Unmute. You're in mute. Yes, please.
See, the firm I work is a small firm, so we can't afford expensive software. So what we did is internally, on specific on performance management, we created the content personalized to different disciplines. So since I'm from engineering firm, we are building design firm. So we have engineers, software engineers, we have a BIM, building information modeling engineers, and then we have an admin group and the marketing group likewise. So what we did is we internally customized each and every content and then used the formula and then made the performance management system. So which actually really works so well, much better than what you get templates or what you get the software from outside. That's because I think that what is the individual roles and responsibility are, it has been closely collected and then framed it. So that way that even our employee feels that they have an experience as well as for us, that we see the growth in employees. There's a very clear communication, the expectation from both the sides.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Makes
I
sense.
think that's a very, it's not a high-end software or something like that, but I think the system what we created internally and worked on the Excel, very simple Excel sheet. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks
for sharing. Thank you. So let's somebody else.
Yeah, there was.
Sorry. Yeah, please.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Shweta. I work for AI-driven healthcare company, basically into medical device. So yes, I'm from the same industry. However, I have not an opinion but views, and that's not about the question you asked, but definitely I would like to ask the jury, the panel on high touch or human versus hiring digitally. We talk about digital
Shweta,
transformation.
That's out of the syllabus, yeah.
No.
We'll come to the questions. I thought you will sort of add to the conversation we are having. We'll come to the questions. If you can hold on, please.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Let's move on. So maybe Captain Pranav and Prasoon and Anvith, in some sense, you guys are in a business where the advent of technology in the social space, you're in a business where you feel it. You will get to feel it faster. I mean, today you want to order food, you get it in 10 minutes. You want a cab, you get it in 15 minutes, depending on which part of Bangalore you live. It may so happen that they will cancel, but you'll get it at the first instance. So technology has sort of come into our lives, far more than 5-7 years ago, or even 3-4 years ago. How do you see that, and what's happening inside the company? Because our employees are experiencing advent of really fast changing technology in their social life, in their personal life, and they should be expecting that in their professional environment.
Yes.
And you guys are in that business where you're using technology to run your business. So talk a little bit about that. Maybe your employees' expectations are different from others. So talk a little bit about that. So maybe Captain first, and then
You want to take it first?
No, please go ahead.
Okay, see, rather I'll go a little bit back. When I was there in Army, things are quite easy. Okay, so we all were trained together in, let's say, bits and pieces in almost the standard so-called military institutions, and then we are there. Operation happens, and you'll have that all the soldiers fight in a similar fashion. They are dead or they are alive, and that's how it is. And I thought that maybe if I deploy the same thing in, let's say, in the real-time scenario in civil, same what, and here you pay them. So I think things would be much more easier. And those days in my IM days in Lucknow, means my lecturers had very tough time with me to tell me it doesn't happen like this. But when I came here, things were completely different. So why I'm telling you this is, and that is a bane of working in a technology-oriented company. So first, all the investment and everything happens, and they think that now is the time for the creation of the culture. So let's do it now. But now the fact is, for example, we are a logistics company, and within 30 seconds, you have all the marrying up happening. Like, you have here in Uber or Ola, you want to go from A distance to B distance, and you click in and you have the car, which car you choose it, and you see the fares and everything happens. The algorithm is much more deeper. You have the trailers, you have which country to which country, and in between also there is the beating which happens between the drivers, and there is that range which is open. So a lot of things happen. So same thing is the expectation from HR, right? So you deliver the same thing together, and you have the best of the culture and the best of the employee motivation and all happening. And then I connect with my army days that every human being is a different human being, and it doesn't happen the way you think. Otherwise, if there is a set pattern, then all of us at certain moment in our life, if we define, let's say 15 years, would be heading a department. And then you have those algorithms or those psychometries happening, and maybe the best guy is the last guy, and the last guy is the best guy, and all sort of a thing happens. And when, for example, we have a CEO or a CHRO resigns, and all our succession planning comes to a failure. And the beautiful example was all those so-called strong business continuity plan we all had made, and the COVID happened, and we never knew what to do with them because no one expected such a scenario. One more thing which I hate in civil is something called predictive analysis, which generally doesn't go in when you need it, it doesn't happen the way, because all the algorithm basically fights on that. And then you have the COVID, the thing opens, and then you have the work from office, and you see the dynamics of the entire job market or the psychology of the person changes. Now in such an environment where we have forgotten that I hope there is no CFOs here. The biggest villain for a HR guy is the CFO. Now you have the investment made, and you search for the return on investment now, the numbers happening now. But for us, we are human beings. We also have something called emotions, if you allow. And we HR are supposed to hire the way it has to happen. But it doesn't happen.
It's hire sack, not sack hire.
Sack hire. in the Japanese startups.
First, there has to be a vacant position to hire.
You have to create the chairs because the chairs are fixed, right? In such a scenario, HR is not the play of a switch. You press the switch and something will happen. It takes time. We have our warming period. So what happens? We are warming up. We are understanding the things, and then we will perform. So again, coming to the automotive sector, we used to hire a GT, and we used to take the GT 1/12 of a FT for 12 months. So 1/12, 2/12. After 1 year, he'll become a 1 FT. Now, in such a scenario, if there is a CFO, he says, why this guy is not performing from day one? I cannot explain him because it takes time. So in such a scenario, when we talk about a lot of technology happening in the organizations, can we make the human working in an organization so automated? I don't think that it is possible. And till the time it is not possible, HR has got the job to do in the organization.
Yeah. So Rapido actually is a B2C company, right? Where if you look at any customer, they'll have 3 apps open. They'll try to go from point A to point B. They'll look at the price. They look at who comes first. They book on all 3 apps, and whoever comes first, they cancel the rest. So if you look at it, how consumers are flooded with choices. Similarly, the employees have too many choices. They'll be like having multiple offers. They'll try to negotiate. They are always and we are dealing with millennials at Rapido because average age is 28 years as such. So highly impatient, they want instant gratification, they want what they want, and if anything goes back, they would want to go out and explore. So that is the kind of similarity that exists between customers, how they treat the business, and employees at the same time as well. So it becomes very important for us to use some of the techniques. For example, the behavior modeling, the behavior change that you do with the customer, giving certain discounts, making sure that actually which customer should be given preference, what is that customer experience, anything actually starting that customer life cycle. If you give one bad experience, they go off. So hence, translating all of this to employees is logically, I mean, it has to be done. But do we have that kind of data platform? We do not. And even when we look at our B2B systems, the ERP systems, right? Have they really looked at the user experience? There's so much of research goes into building an app, because where does the customer click? Where does he look at it? And how is the transition? That same kind of innovation hasn't, I mean, it truly hasn't happened in B2B space. It's always about selling to the administrators, but not looking at that user experience is one thing. But definitely, yeah, it flows. I mean, at Rapido, it flows in the culture progress, right? Because when we do these all hands meet, employees come up with some questions. This policy is not fitting them, so we go ahead and we do a focus group discussion, try to understand it, change it. So hence we need to be agile, or else actually a company like Rapido, which is fast growing, we need great people. So we need to be really, really agile as such.
So interesting. I mean, both of them spoke about technology, but at the foundation, they spoke about human emotions. They spoke about, loyalty. They spoke about impatience. They spoke about the fact that, investment. So while technology sort of is there at the broad end, the fundamentals are not fundamentally changing. Otherwise, maybe at some point in time, we'll just have robots working, and then HR folks don't have a job. I mean, just think about doing employee engagement with a robot. I hope I'm not in the job at that point in time.
Robot will be doing it for the robot.
There you go. I saw a meme, sort of robot doing it for robot. Ajay, with all this sort of happening around us, I think it's important, and there are quite a few HR folks here in this room. I think it's important for us to prepare for this. So what sort of skill sets, mindsets do you think we should build within our HR community so that we adopt and embrace this better?
Yeah. So let's begin by saying what I said earlier, that I come from a company which is traditional, which was mature. So you've had to change. You've had to pivot, right? There are companies which are new age companies. Their technology can be the starting point, but here it is not the starting point, right? So let's start with that context. Second context, let me give an example about something which Pradipta earlier spoke about, L&D, right? How things are changing. Now, let me now try to marry these two to then speak more about what all we as HR people need to do, right? Do I convert what I do right now as it is when I'm using technology? A lot of people try to do this. We have also tried to do this. A lot of companies do this and they go wrong, right? So I have an Excel sheet which is being used for analysis. I'm using the same kind of background to for MicroStrategy to give me an output. And what is the use? Keep using Excel, right? So you need to change the way you think, because let's not first think about what we have and you need to convert, but it is important that we look at the product or the technology which is available, what all it can do, and use that to maximize. So now I'll give an example. The L&D industry moved from classroom training to online to making it more interesting by making it interactive and then bite-sized and whatnot, right? Now you have a very big BPM industry in this country, which runs on process and product training. because they are servicing companies which have specific domains. The people who are sitting there in those factories, they cannot service those domains without knowing about that domain, right? So for example, mortgage servicing in my case, very specialized. I need to train at least 1 year for people to understand US mortgage, and then start being productive, right? And that goes for what Pranav was saying. The FT is 1 by 12 in the first month, and the person is still not productive till the end of 6 months or 1 year. Now, we came up with an idea which is completely different. Okay, training is important. That is going to help my people be more productive, be more successful, because that's why you do it. You just don't do it just for the uh, happiness of training, right? Now, we said, why don't we change the whole paradigm? We don't need to train people. We came up with something called as URMs. URM is just the industry which I work in, it's very highly regularized. A lot of policy and procedure keeps changing every day. People cannot learn it. So we started creating knowledge for people, which is not like that earlier knowledge management, but it is more searchable, like Google searchable. Like you go to Google, say, okay, nowadays somebody asks you a meaning, you don't remember it anymore. Earlier we used to, right? Somebody says, okay, 25 into 106. Today you just go there and use a calculator or so the point is, you don't need to train them into learning those 1,000 procedures, 50,000 policies. This question comes to this person fast. Within a few seconds, the person is able to search for it on the screen and use that to be successful in the job. Yes, you need training, but you can replace it through this way. So this is the first point I want to make, that we shouldn't look at converting what we have today into as it is using technology. Think about technology as something which offers you newer innovation, better efficiency, better effectiveness, and how they can make it better. So, it can be completely different. Be ready for that change. So change management, again, is very, very important. Uh, Bringing in technology is actually very easy. There are only three things which you need. You need the money, you need approvals, and you need the willingness. But in the real world, contextual world, there are many more things, right? You have people who stick to their beliefs, they have huge teams. They think technology comes in, you'll have to fire people, so many things, right? But at the heart of all of this is centralization and control. So how we actually adapt to technology is by first killing this mindset. Centralization is no more possible. It's not possible at all. Decentralize, give more power to your employees, to access information, to get things done through HR for their own engagement. Give more empowerment to the managers. And when you are even interacting with candidates, give them more empowerment to how they interact with you, right? So these are some of the things which you bring in, you change mindsets. Getting approvals is also not that easy, as Pranav was saying, that if I needed to take approval, I had to prove that my system was not threatening for people, right? So how do you do that? See, we all these business people, finance people, they are also data driven. So as HR people, we also need to be less hazy and start using more data, start using more examples, start being more less tentative, more certain about what are we proposing, what are we offering. So that helps you make sure those conversations do not fall through. You may still not get approval, right? But at least those conversations, you will not be the loser in those conversations. So, I mean, a long answer, but a lot of these things combined.
Thank you. I'll take Sweta's question. I think we got the drift of it. We are running short on time, but I'll try and respond to it. Tell me if I have not. I think technology and human touch will continue to remain. I think even when you call for an Uber, the Uber driver's behavior matters to you, right? When you call for Swiggy, the Swiggy guys, the way he handles the food matters to you. So I think both will continue to remain. And as long as that remains, hopefully we have all have our jobs. If not, we won't, right?
Technology is just a medium.
And
Yeah,
techno-
it's just a, it's
You
just
still
an
need to
enabler.
do the other things which have to be done.
Yeah.
Technology is just a medium.
and
And just
technology.
going back to the approval thing, I guess the joke you're aware of, the CFO asked that you're spending time on this training. What if after the training these guys leave, right? And maybe the HR guy or the CEO said, what if they stay, right? So I think it's a question of investment versus expenditure. And if, as HR folks, if you're data driven and can explain the difference between investment and expenditure, hopefully approvals will not be as difficult.
Yeah, we should be able to show the payback and faster paybacks. You cannot say that so nowadays more than ROI, the word payback is getting used in projects, right? So I cannot show 24 months, 36 months, 60 months kind of payback. I need to show 7 months to 12 months, ideal. That is norm now. And if you do that, it is very difficult for the CEO or the CFO to say no to you. They may still do it, but you keep going back. And listen, we are all, everything is a sales situation. We need to learn that selling, for HR people, selling is very, very important, believe me. It's a sales situation. You need to keep making the effort.
Okay, we are out of time, but we'll take one question, that gem of a question that you guys have. One that will shake our fundamentals. No? Yes, sir. Yeah, please.
Okay, see, we're speaking about technology, right? In AI, especially in the recruitment. Our HR managers, our talent acquisition managers, becoming purchase managers and picking things, right? AI typically picks up certain things, right? And in the process of highly digitized talent acquisition process, more in the selection process, are we really losing the right talent? Number two, just because it's picking words from resume, are we also picking the wrong candidates? Any thoughts?
Yeah. So I mean, we've been using it. So we'll go back to alpha and beta errors, right? It's important to select the right candidate. I mean, it's okay to reject the right candidate, but it's very important to not to select the wrong candidate as such. So when we have 500 or 800 applications, we are looking at the best match that fits into our. There may be like innumerable number of people who may be more talented than the individual who has been selected. That definitely happens. And also your AI is as good as what it learns. So if you select the wrong candidates, the machine learning happens in such a way that it goes back and selects the same set of people. Or if it is intelligent enough, it goes back and selects, you have rejected certain candidates, it goes back and starts rejecting those candidates. So it all depends on how you want to. Definitely there has to be a human intervention, or else you would be rolling out offer letters without an interview process altogether, right? So hence actually it's only a way to screen, where should the recruiter invest his time? Where should the interviewer invest their time? That is much more important because everybody's time is extremely important, right? So yeah.
So just to take a step back from what he said, technology is being used to screen since a few years, even before AI came in, right? I would say that AI is making it better, not worse, because AI is a learning tool. AI is also learning what they see, how are we rejecting, etc., etc. So technology was always getting used. There was this sense of losing the right candidate even earlier, but now in the last 4-5 years, with using AI, the answer is that we are getting better, not worse, because there's a learning part involved.
And so also, just to add to that, for us, the hiring manager slot was so difficult to get because they'll give like 3 slots in a week. Now I have to fill those positions in probably 6 interviews. So it becomes so difficult. So hence, actually, it really helps us to.
Just coming to that point, also the thing is the maturity of the recruiter. I'll not name an organization where I was working. There was a finance interview, and the CAs who were to be taken in the system, they were going through a group discussion. And when I came inside, I'm like, come on, it is justified? Because I know that what they will be doing it and what you are checking it, the skill set. For that parameters, of course, AI plays a very good, and of course, it is a comfort level and the direction where the things has to move. But where it is a sort of a selected sort of a recruitment, we all would have recruited, let's say, I don't know how many thousands or lakhs people as the older we are, but the fact is, what is the control on that? If you are too comfortable with a guy who knows the recruitment, you're fine. Yeah. Otherwise, you will have to be based on, because the quantum is so much, it cannot be controlled.
Yeah,
But there also the sir is the algorithm of selection is also getting better day by day.
So two quick things. One, and I think you alluded to that. You have to help the AI to learn, and the only way to make it learn is once the guy joins, or guy or girl joins the organization. After 2 months, after 3 months, based on his performance, you feed it back to the AI, so that the next set of people that you're hiring based on true data as to how the guy is performing on the job, the guy that you hired 3 months, 6 months ago. So even recruiting AIs are becoming smarter, because you're funneling back data, funneling back information from actual work. So that's number one. Number two, again, it's very specific to India and countries like India, where for one role, 800 people apply, and out of the 800, 750 are non-relevant kind of stuff. But if you go to a Nordics country, one role you'll get only two people applying, and then you don't need AI. So it's also important to figure out where you want to use technology depending on the context you're in, the business that you're in. I think that's about it from our end. I hope it lighted some fire somewhere without burning you. And as always, technology will be an enabler, and hopefully will make our lives easier. The other day I heard a parent complaining that her 5-year-old daughter could do maths very, very easily. And then she figured out that the kid was asking Siri and getting answers. Right? So as long as we are not using Siri for those kind of stuff, I guess life will be easier. Thank you very much. I hope it was happy. Good.
Thank you.
Sure. A big hand for our panelists and for our moderator. I would request you to please stay back. Ladies and gentlemen, to present the token of appreciation to our moderator and the panelists, I'm now going to request Nagma Sharma, partner Sapphire Human Solution, to please join us on the stage. With a huge round of applause, let's welcome Nagma, please. I think it's time where even kids are trying to figure out what's transactional work and what's core work, which is why Siri comes into the picture.
Need it in minutes? Just blink it. Download the Blink It app now.